The puny aliens cower in fear of the vast void, while humans surf the cosmos with reckless abandon. The resounding cheer erupted from Mission Control as the live video feed showed Bruce Bennett, adrenaline junkie extraordinaire, carving stellar waves through a perilous asteroid field at the edge of Talaxian space. Just hours earlier, Bennett and his diplomatic envoy had arrived on the gleaming Talaxian homeworld, hoping to forge an alliance with the technologically superior beings. The Talaxians themselves had long ago turned their backs to the stars, their advanced wormhole and dimensional gate network, a testament to their overwhelming fear of the emptiness between worlds. But from the moment the human delegation set foot in the grand reception hall, it was clear that Ambassador Bennett would not be content with meek platitudes and stale hors d'oeuvres. As Earth's finest struggled to find common ground with their timid hosts, Bennett took matters into his own gravity-defying hands. Donning an experimental spacesuit and grabbing his cutting-edge hover surfboard, the daredevil slipped away from the diplomatic compound, hell-bent on showing the Talaxians what true courage looked like. Now, with the fate of two civilizations hanging in the balance, a rebellious young Talaxian counselor named Xander must convince his people that the key to reclaiming their place among the stars lies not in their wormholes and gates, but in the fearless hearts of the human pioneers who dare to dance on the edge of oblivion itself. The Talaxian High Council, both awed and terrified by Bennett's audacity, reluctantly agrees to allow the humans to train a hand-picked group of their bravest citizens in the death-defying art of void surfing. But one misstep could spell disaster for the fragile new alliance. As whispers of the humans' mind-bending feats echo through the streets and the staid corridors of power, the people of Earth and Talax find themselves teetering on the brink of a revolution that threatens to rewrite the very laws of the universe. The question remains, will the Talaxians find the courage to confront their deepest fears and ride the cosmic tides alongside their human allies? Or will they let the opportunity of a lifetime slip away into the silent depths of space? The Talaxian High Council chamber buzzed with anticipation as Bruce Bennett strode to the center of the room, his signature grin plastered across his face. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice echoing off the vaulted ceiling, "I present to you the future of Talaxian human cooperation, the Void Surfer Initiative." With a dramatic flourish, Bennett stepped aside to reveal a group of humans and Talaxians, each clad in sleek, form-fitting spacesuits emblazoned with the joint insignia of their two civilizations. At the head of the group stood Jake Silva, his cocky smirk barely concealed behind his helmet's visor. As the assembled council members murmured in a mix of awe and trepidation, Bennett launched into his pitch. These brave pioneers will train together, learn together, and ultimately surf the cosmic tides together. They will show the universe that the spirit of adventure knows no bounds, and that the key to conquering fear lies in the bonds of friendship and trust. In the weeks that followed, the human and Talaxian void surfers threw themselves into their training with a fervor that bordered on obsession. Jake Silva, in particular, seemed to relish the challenge of adapting his cutting-edge tech to the unique demands of the Talaxian wormhole network. But it was Zara, the feisty young Talaxian with a natural gift for navigating the void, who truly captured everyone's attention. Under the guidance of her human mentors, she blossomed into a true prodigy, executing daring maneuvers that left even the most seasoned surfers slack-jawed with amazement. As the training intensified, so too did the bonds between the humans and Talaxians. Jake and Zara, in particular, found themselves drawn to each other, their initial rivalry giving way to a deep, if sometimes tempestuous, connection. But even as the Void Surfers pushed themselves to new heights of skill and courage, storm clouds were gathering on the horizon. Conservative factions within the Talaxian government, long opposed to any collaboration with the humans, began to openly agitate against the initiative. Xander, the young counselor who had championed the void surfing program from the start, found himself besieged on all sides. In private, he confided to Bennett his fears that the High Council might cave to the pressure and shut down the initiative before it ever had a chance to prove itself. Bennett, however, refused to let such talk dampen his spirits. "We've come too far to back down now," he declared, his eyes glinting with grit. "We'll show them what we're made of. will show them the true power of the void. And so, with tensions running high and the fate of the initiative hanging in the balance, the Void Surfers embarked on their most daring expedition yet, a thrilling run to the very edge of a massive black hole. As they rode the chaotic gravitational currents, their spacesuits straining against the immense forces at play, the humans and Talaxians felt a profound sense of unity and purpose. They were explorers, pioneers, surfing the very fabric of the universe itself. But then, disaster struck. A violent solar flare erupted from the black hole, battering the team with intense radiation and gravitational distortions. In the chaos, several of the less experienced Talaxian surfers were pulled off course, disappearing into the swirling depths of the accretion disk. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, with an iron will etched onto his face, Bruce Bennett turned to Jake and Zara. "Suit up," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We're going in after them." As the trio raced to don their emergency gear, they knew they were embarking on a mission from which they might never return. But they also knew that they could not abandon their comrades to the merciless grip of the singularity. With a final nod to each other, they plunged into the maelstrom, their hover surfboards slicing through the twisted space-time like glowing blades. The fate of their friends, and indeed the future of human Talaxian relations, hung in the balance as they disappeared into the heart of the cosmic storm. The twisted fabric of space-time bent and warped around Bruce Bennett as he plunged deeper into the accretion disk, Jake Silva and Zara close behind. Their hover surfboards carved impossibly sharp turns through the gravitational eddies, leaving trails of distorted light in their wake. "There!" Jake's voice crackled through the comm system. A faint glimmer caught Bennett's eye, the unmistakable sheen of a Talaxian spacesuit tumbling end over end in the chaotic currents. Bennett adjusted his trajectory, the advanced gravity-manipulating suit straining against the immense forces. He reached out, fingers stretching to their limit. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed the lost surfer would slip away. Then Bennett's hand closed around a flailing arm, and he pulled the Talaxian close. "I've got one," he shouted. "Jake, Zara, status?" "Two more here," Zara responded, her voice tight with concentration. "But something's strange. Look ahead." Bennett's eyes widened as he took in the sight before them. Amidst the swirling chaos of the accretion disk, a pocket of calm floated serenely. It was as if someone had carved out a bubble of tranquility in the heart of the cosmic storm. "Impossible," Jake muttered. "The gravitic shear should tear that apart in seconds." "And yet," Bennett grinned behind his faceplate, "let's check it out. Could be our ticket home." They surged forward, guiding their rescued comrades into the anomaly. As they crossed its threshold, the buffeting forces fell away. Bennett felt his suit's systems ease, no longer fighting against crushing gravitational pressures. At the center of the pocket floated a structure, sleek, alien, and undeniably artificial. Its surface rippled with patterns of light that seemed to pulse in time with the warped space around it. "An artifact," Zara breathed, awe evident in her voice. "But how? Who could have built this?" Bennett circled the object, his analytical mind racing. "The Talaxian wormhole network? It always seemed too advanced, even for your people. What if this is the source?" Jake ran a hand over the artifact's surface. "We can't leave it here. The scientific value alone—" "Agreed," Bennett cut in. "But our first priority is getting these surfers to safety. Zara, can you interface with it? See if we can use it to get home?" Zara hesitated, then nodded. She placed her palm against the artifact, and lines of light spread from the point of contact, enveloping her suit. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like reality tearing at the seams, a wormhole blossomed into existence before them. "It worked!" Zara exclaimed. "I can see Talaxia." Bennett smiled grimly. "Then let's ride this wave home, and hope the High Council is ready for what we're bringing back." With a final glance at the enigmatic artifact, now secured to Bennett's board, the team plunged into the wormhole, the fate of two civilizations, and perhaps the key to unlocking the secrets of the cosmos itself, traveled with them through the void. As they emerged into Talaxian space, a flurry of activity greeted them. Ships converged on their position, and urgent transmissions flooded their comms. But it was the face of Xander, appearing on their helmet displays, that truly drove home the magnitude of what they'd accomplished. "By the void," the young counselor breathed. "You made it, and what is that?" Bennett's grin was equal parts exhaustion and exhilaration. "That, my friend, is the future, and it's time for Talaxia to face it head-on." The euphoria of their daring rescue faded quickly as Bennett and his team stepped off their hover surfboards onto Talaxian soil. A sea of faces greeted them, some awestruck, others openly hostile. Xander pushed through the crowd, his expression a mix of relief and worry. "You've stirred up quite the hornet's nest," he said, pulling Bennett aside. "Word of your exploits is spreading faster than we can contain it." Bennett's eyes narrowed. "Is that such a bad thing? The people deserve to know what we've accomplished." Xander shook his head. "You don't understand. The conservatives are in an uproar. Zorian's already calling for a complete shutdown of the void surfing program." As if on cue, a nearby holoscreen flickered to life, displaying the stern visage of Zorian, the leader of Talaxia's traditionalist faction. His voice boomed across the spaceport. "Citizens of Talaxia, beware. These human interlopers and their misguided followers seek to lure our youth into the deadly embrace of the void. We must stand firm against this corrupting influence." Bennett clenched his fists, but before he could respond, a cheer erupted from a group of young Talaxians gathered near the landing pad. They waved makeshift banners adorned with crude depictions of void surfers. "Did you see that rescue?" one of them shouted. "It was incredible." "Yeah, who needs wormholes when you can ride the cosmos?" another added. Xander tugged at Bennett's sleeve. "We need to move. Now. The council's demanding an emergency session." As they made their way through the crowded streets, Bennett couldn't help but notice the divide among the Talaxians. For every scowling face and muttered curse, there was a wide-eyed youth or excited whisper. The council chamber was a powder keg when they arrived. Accusations flew back and forth, with Zorian supporters demanding immediate action to protect Talaxian values. Bennett stood to address the assembly, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Esteemed council members, what you've witnessed today is not a threat, but an opportunity. The void is not something to be feared, but embraced. A commotion at the chamber doors cut him short. A group of young Talaxians burst in, led by a lithe figure with startlingly bright eyes. "The name's Kira," she announced, her gaze sweeping the room. "And we're here to show you what real void surfing looks like." With a flick of her wrist, she activated a holographic display, the chamber filled with swirling cosmic vistas as Kira and her crew performed increasingly daring maneuvers through asteroid fields and solar flares. The council watched in stunned silence. Some members leaned forward, clearly enthralled. Others recoiled in horror. Zorian's face turned purple with rage. "This is an outrage! Arrest these hooligans at once!" But the damage was done. As security moved to apprehend Kira and her friends, excited murmurs rippled through the younger council members. Bennett exchanged a look with Xander. They both knew the battle for Talaxia's future had just begun. Outside the council chambers, the streets buzzed with activity. Impromptu debates sprung up on every corner. Holoscreen networks ran non-stop coverage of the void surfing phenomenon, alternating between dire warnings and breathless accounts of the rescues. In a quiet corner of the spaceport, Bennett gathered his team. Jake, Zara, and the other surfers leaned in close. "All right, folks," Bennett said, his voice low. "Things are moving fast. We need to seize this momentum. I've got a plan, but it's risky." As he outlined his audacious scheme, eyes widened and grins spread. They all knew the stakes couldn't be higher. Bennett's plan unfolded with precision. Under cover of night, the void surfers slipped away from the spaceport, their hoverboards humming softly as they ascended into the star-speckled sky. The Carina Nebula loomed before them, a vast tapestry of swirling gases and newborn stars. "Cameras online?" Jake's voice crackled through the comm. "Let's give them a show they'll never forget." The team surged forward, diving into the nebula's outer fringes. Cosmic dust and ionized gas swirled around them as they carved impossible turns through the stellar nursery. Bennett led the formation, his board leaving a trail of shimmering disturbance in the nebula's delicate structure. Zara whooped with exhilaration as she executed a perfect barrel roll through a dense cluster of protostars. The cameras captured every moment, transmitting breathtaking vistas back to Talaxia. Suddenly, alarms blared in their helmets. "Incoming!" Xander shouted. "Zorian security forces on our 6!" A squadron of sleek patrol craft emerged from the nebula's depths, weapons primed. Bennett gritted his teeth. "Evasive maneuvers! Don't let them disrupt the feed!" The Void Surfers scattered, using the nebula's complex topography to their advantage. Jake ducked beneath a sheet of solar plasma, the pursuing craft unable to match his agility. Zara wove between towering pillars of cosmic dust, leaving her pursuers in a confused tangle. Bennett led a group of security ships on a wild chase through a field of forming stars, the gravitational eddies nearly tearing their vessels apart. With a deft twist of his board, he slingshot around a massive protostar, using its pull to fling himself clear while the security ships struggled to break free. "We're clear," Xander announced. "Transmitting now. Talaxia is about to get an eyeful." As the team regrouped, their helmet displays lit up with incoming messages. The footage was spreading like wildfire across Talaxian media channels. Public opinion was shifting rapidly, the awe-inspiring majesty of void surfing capturing hearts and minds. Their victory was short-lived. As they neared the Talaxian atmosphere, a priority alert from Xander's political contacts flashed across their visors. Zorian had made his move. The spaceport was in chaos when they landed. Reports flooded in of attacks on void surfing facilities across the planet. A grim-faced Xander met them on the landing pad, a bandage visible beneath his collar. "They tried to take me out," he said, his voice tight. "Several surf clubs have been hit. It's getting ugly out there." Bennett's expression hardened. "Then we adapt. We fight. Jake, Zara, double down on training. I need to make some calls." As the team dispersed, Bennett retreated to a secure comm station. His fingers flew over the controls, inputting a series of encrypted codes. The screen flickered to life, revealing a grizzled face Bennett hadn't seen in years. "Colonel," Bennett said, nodding to his former commanding officer, "remember that favor you owe me? It's time to collect." Days passed in a blur of activity. Covert shipments began arriving through back channels, advanced shielding tech, non-lethal crowd control devices, cutting-edge sensor arrays. Bennett oversaw the distribution, transforming the ragtag void surfing community into a well-organized resistance. At the training grounds, Jake and Zara pushed their teams to new limits. Human and Talaxian surfers merged their techniques, developing maneuvers that defied conventional physics. "Again!" Jake barked, as a young Talaxian named Lyrael attempted a complex sequence through a simulated nebula. "You need to feel the gravitational eddies, not fight them." Zara worked with the human contingent, honing their ability to read the subtle cues of cosmic phenomena. "There," she said, guiding a surfer's hand. "See how the dust flow changes? That's your cue to cut hard to port." As the competition approached, tension thickened the air. Bennett split his time between the training grounds and clandestine meetings with Xander and other sympathetic officials. They pored over security plans, contingencies, and evacuation protocols. The night before the event, Bennett gathered the core team for a final briefing. As he outlined their strategy, a commotion erupted outside. Kira burst into the room, her eyes wild. "We've been compromised," she gasped. "Zorian's people, they're coming. We need to move. Now." Bennett's mind raced. Had they been betrayed, or was this part of a larger ploy? He had no time to ponder. "Everyone to your stations," he ordered. "This is what we've prepared for." As alarms blared and surfers scrambled to their boards, the first explosions rocked the compound. Through the chaos, Bennett caught a glimpse of Kira slipping away, a triumphant smirk playing across her features. The battle for the Carina Nebula had begun. Zara's board cut through swirling cosmic dust as laser fire erupted around her. The void surfing competition had devolved into chaos, with Zorian's loyalists clashing against the pro-surfing forces. Through the melee, she spotted a familiar figure, Kira, leading the charge against them. "Kira," Zara called out, maneuvering closer. "This isn't the way. We can still work together." Kira's eyes flashed with anger. "You humans have poisoned our society. Zorian showed me the truth. You'll destroy everything we hold dear." Before Zara could respond, an energy blast from a nearby skirmish struck Kira's suit. The protective material ruptured, exposing her to the deadly radiation permeating the nebula. Without hesitation, Zara activated her grappling system, latching onto Kira's failing suit. "Hold on!" Zara shouted, straining against the pull of the void. She reeled Kira in, shielding her former friend with her own body as they careened through the battlefield. Laser bolts sizzled past them. Jake's voice crackled over the comm. "Zara, we've got you covered. Get her to safety." Jake and a squad of human operatives swooped in, laying down suppressing fire. Their precise maneuvers disrupted the enemy formation, creating a corridor for Zara to escape. Zara pushed her board to its limits. Kira's limp form clutched tightly against her. She could feel the Talaxians' ragged breathing through their suits. "Stay with me," Zara muttered, dodging debris and energy blasts. They broke through the front lines, tumbling onto a Talaxian medical frigate. Medics swarmed around them, whisking Kira away for emergency treatment. Zara caught a final glimpse of her former friend's face, confusion and gratitude warring in her eyes. The skirmish raged on, but the tide had turned. Bennett seized the moment, launching into a daring run through the heart of the nebula. His board left shimmering trails through waves of cosmic radiation as he executed impossible maneuvers. Talaxian and human surfers alike watched in awe. Bennett's skill transcended mere competition, each twist and turn a defiant statement against those who would divide them. Inspired, other surfers joined the fray. They weaved between pockets of fighting, their boards flashing like comets through the nebula's tapestry. The militants found themselves outmatched by the surfers' agility and intimate knowledge of the void's currents. A triumphant cheer rose as Xander's reinforcements arrived, their ships casting long shadows across the battlefield. Zorian's forces scattered, retreating into the nebula's depths. In the aftermath, Zara found Kira in the medical bay, her injuries stabilized but her spirit shaken. "Why?" Kira asked weakly. "After everything I've done?" Zara took her hand. "Because that's what friends do. And maybe we can be friends again." Kira didn't respond, but she didn't pull away either. Outside, the competition resumed. Human and Talaxian surfers took to the void side by side, their synchronized movements painting breathtaking patterns across the cosmic canvas. As Bennett prepared for his final run, the eyes of two worlds turned to watch, united in anticipation of what was to come. Come. The nebula's swirling gases parted as Bennett carved his final run, a testament to the harmony between human skill and Talaxian technology. In the months that followed, an uneasy peace settled over Talaxian society. The void surfing competition had exposed deep cultural rifts, but also revealed the potential for cooperation between humans and Talaxians. Bennett stood before the High Council, his posture straight and his gaze steady. "In recognition of your unprecedented mastery of the void," the chief counselor intoned, "we hereby appoint you as Imperial Void Master. You will oversee all void surfing activities within our star system." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Bennett nodded, accepting the weight of responsibility. "I'll need a team," he said, "and resources to establish a proper training program." The Void Riders Academy took shape rapidly. Bennett recruited elite human coaches and worked with Talaxian scientists to develop a comprehensive curriculum. The Academy's sleek buildings rose from the outskirts of the capital, a beacon for aspiring surfers. Zara found herself at the heart of the new movement. Her daring rescue of Kira during the competition had made her a hero to young Talaxians. She led outreach missions to the planet's poorer regions, her hoverboard humming as she soared over dusty settlements. "Who wants to touch the stars?" Zara called out to a group of wide-eyed Talaxian children. Their tentacles waved excitedly as she demonstrated basic surfing techniques, adapted for their unique physiology. Jake threw himself into research and development. The artifact that had started it all now sat at the center of a cutting-edge lab. Talaxian scientists crowded around Jake as he fine-tuned a new suit design. The gravitational field manipulators are aligning, Jake muttered, making minute adjustments. If we can just stabilize the quantum flux. A cheer erupted as the suit began to glow, defying gravity itself. Jake grinned, already envisioning the possibilities. Next stop, he announced, the event horizon of a black hole. Bennett's comm link chirped. A priority message from Xander flashed across the screen. Zorian sighted. He's not alone. Across the city, in a dimly lit safe house, Kira paced restlessly. Her injuries had healed, but a fire burned in her eyes. Zorian watched her, a calculating expression on his face. The humans have corrupted our way of life, Kira spat. We must take back what is ours. Zorian nodded slowly. Indeed, and I believe I know just how to do it. As night fell over the capital, Bennett stood on his office balcony, gazing at the stars. The void called to him, as it always did, but now the vastness of space held new dangers and new possibilities. A distant explosion shattered the silence. Alarms blared as Bennett's comm link lit up with urgent messages. The first attack on a Void Rider's training facility had begun. The battle for Talaxia's soul was nowhere near the end. The distant explosion shattered the night's tranquility, sending shockwaves through the capital. Bennett's comm link erupted with urgent messages as alarms blared across the city. He sprinted from his office balcony, mind racing to process the sudden chaos. Status report, he barked into his communicator. Xander's voice crackled through, tense and breathless. Multiple attacks on Void Rider facilities. Insurgents using advanced weaponry. Casualties reported. Bennett's teeth clenched. The uneasy peace had been shattered, and he knew exactly who was behind it. In the following weeks, violence escalated across Talaxian space. Kira's forces, emboldened by Zorian's backing, struck at key Void Rider installations with ruthless efficiency. The Academy's once bustling corridors grew eerily quiet as fear gripped the populace. Bennett paced the emergency command center, holographic displays flickering with reports of the latest attacks. Jake and Zara stood nearby, their expressions grim. We need to change tactics, Bennett declared. They're turning public opinion against us. We need something big, something to unite the people. Jake's eyes lit up. What about a tournament? Not just any competition, but a system-wide spectacle. Zara nodded enthusiastically. A Void Riding Grand Prix, multiple challenges across different cosmic environments. Bennett's mind raced with possibilities. It could work. We'll make it open to all. Humans, Talaxians, everyone. Show the galaxy what we can achieve together. The preparations began immediately. As news of the Grand Prix spread, a spark of hope ignited across Talaxian society. Qualification rounds commenced in far-flung star systems, drawing unprecedented crowds. But the insurgents weren't finished. During a packed qualifier on Talaxia's third moon, a massive explosion ripped through the stands. As smoke cleared and the screams subsided, security footage revealed a chilling truth. Kira herself had infiltrated the event. Bennett watched the footage in stunned silence, his fist clenched at his sides. This ends now, he growled. In a bold move, Bennett reorganized the Void Riders into an elite military force. Jake and Zara found themselves at the helm of specialized strike teams, hunting down terrorist cells across the sector. Zara led a daring raid on a suspected insurgent base hidden within the rings of a gas giant. Her team's boards sliced through swirling ice particles as enemy fire erupted around them. Push through, Zara shouted, executing a complex maneuver to dodge incoming projectiles. We've got them cornered. Jake's missions took him to the fringes of Talaxian space, where he uncovered disturbing evidence of Zorian's technological advancements. In an abandoned research station orbiting a dying star, Jake discovered plans for weapons capable of harnessing the power of singularities. As the Grand Prix approached, the conflict intensified. Bennett's forces clashed with Kira's suicide bombers in the swirling storms of gas giants and among the frozen crags of icy moons. Each battle pushed the limits of void surfing technology and human endurance. A breakthrough came when one of Zara's underworld contacts passed along crucial intelligence. Hidden within a massive asteroid was Kira's secret fortress, a base dedicated to constructing horrific singularity weapons. Bennett assembled his most elite Void Riders for a midnight assault. Their boards hummed with anticipation as they approached the camouflaged asteroid. "Remember," Bennett's voice crackled through their comms, "our primary objective is to neutralize the singularity bomb. Kira's capture is secondary." They breached the asteroid's defenses in a hail of weapons fire, engaging in a frantic zero-gravity battle through twisting corridors. Bennett led the charge, his board effortlessly navigating the chaotic environment. In the fortress's heart, they found Kira hunched over a pulsing, otherworldly device, the singularity bomb. Her eyes blazed with fanatic intensity as she reached for the detonator. "For Talaxia!" she screamed. Bennett's grappling line shot out, ensnaring Kira's arm mere inches from the trigger. In the ensuing struggle, the truth spilled from Kira's lips, a truth that chilled Bennett to his core. Zorian had played them all for fools. As Kira was led away in restraints, urgent reports flooded in. Zorian's true plan was unfolding. A massive armada of warships, filled with singularity missiles, had appeared in Talaxian space. They now blockaded the entire Grand Prix venue system. Zorian's ultimatum echoed across every channel. "Surrender the Grand Prix or watch your world burn." Bennett stood on the bridge of his command ship, surveying the overwhelming forces arrayed against them. The fate of Void Riding, and perhaps all of Talaxian society, hung in the balance. He turned to Jake and Zara, a plan already forming. "Gather every top-tier surfer we have," he ordered. "It's time for the greatest ride of our lives." As the assembled team listened intently, Bennett outlined a daring strategy to thread the singularity barrage and infiltrate Zorian's flagship. It was a suicide mission by any standard measure. "This is what we've trained for," Bennett concluded, his voice steady. "Let's show them what Void Surfers can really do." The hangar bay doors slid open, revealing the star-studded vastness of space. Bennett led the charge, his board igniting with fierce blue energy as he plunged into the void. Behind him, the most elite void surfing team ever assembled followed, ready to risk everything for their shared dream. Ahead lay Zorian's blockade, a gauntlet of unimaginable danger. But for the Void Surfers, it was just another wave to ride. The Void Surfers launched into action, their boards igniting with fierce blue energy as they plunged into the star-studded expanse. Bennett led the charge, his elite team fanning out behind him in a choreographed formation honed through countless training runs. Jake and Zara flanked Bennett, their faces set with unwavering persistence. The singularity barrage loomed ahead, a lethal web of gravitational anomalies ready to tear them apart. "Remember your training," Bennett's voice crackled through their comms. "Jake, initiate gravitic shielding on my mark." As they closed in on the barrage, Jake's fingers flew across the control panel on his forearm. A shimmering bubble of energy enveloped the team, distorting the fabric of space around them. "Shields active," Jake called out. "Slipstream engaged in 3, 2, 1. The world twisted as they entered the singularity slipstream. Reality blurred, stars stretching into streaks of light. Zara gritted her teeth, fighting the disorientation as her board vibrated beneath her feet. Ahead, Zorian's flagship materialized, a behemoth of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. Alarms blared across the enemy fleet as the Void Rider's presence was detected. "Diversion team, go loud," Bennett ordered. On cue, the frontline Void Riders broke formation, their boards erupting with dazzling light displays as they weaved through the singularity field. Enemy fire erupted around them, filling space with deadly energy bolts. Jake nodded to Zara. "That's our cue, you ready?" Zara's tentacles rippled with anticipation. Born ready. They peeled away from the main group, surfing through the chaos toward a narrow gap in the flagship's defenses. Jake's gravitic shielding flickered under the strain of enemy fire, but held. As they approached the mammoth dreadnought's hull, Jake activated their stealth systems. Their board's energy signatures dampened, rendering them nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. With practiced precision, They maneuvered onto the ship's surface. Magnetic grapples engaged, locking them in place as they searched for an access point. "There!" Zara hissed, gesturing to a recessed maintenance hatch. "My contact said this would be our best entry point." Jake produced a compact plasma cutter, working swiftly to breach the hatch. As it swung open, they slipped inside, leaving the cosmic battlefield behind. The dreadnought's interior was a maze of corridors and chambers. Jake consulted the holomap projected from his wrist device. Singularity Core is 3 levels down. We'll need to disable the missile deployment systems from there. They moved silently through the ship, their void surfing skills translating seamlessly to zero-gravity infiltration. At each junction, Zara's insider knowledge proved invaluable, guiding them past patrols and security checkpoints. As they descended deeper into the ship's bowels, the hum of the Singularity Core grew more pronounced. The very air seemed to vibrate with hardly restrained energy. "Multiple contacts ahead," Jake whispered, studying his scanner. "Looks like a full security detail guarding the core entrance." Zara unholstered her pulse pistol. "We'll have to go hot, no way around it." Jake nodded, readying his own weapon. "On 3. 1, 2... They burst from cover, riding the momentum of their boards as they unleashed a barrage of stun bolts. The security team, caught off guard by the unconventional assault, went down in a heap of tangled limbs. Alarms blared as they breached the core chamber. The massive Singularity containment unit pulsed with otherworldly energy, feeding power to the missile systems. Jake immediately set to work, his fingers flying across holographic interfaces as he sought to sabotage the deployment protocols. Zara stood guard, her senses on high alert for incoming threats. "How long?" she asked, tension evident in her voice. Jake's brow furrowed in concentration. 5 minutes, maybe less. This system is more complex than we anticipated." The sound of boots on metal echoed from the corridor. Zorian strike teams were closing in. Zara's grip tightened on her weapon. "Better make it 3 minutes. We're about to have company." "Company?" The words had barely left Zara's mouth when the chamber doors exploded inward. A squad of heavily armed Zorian troops poured through the opening, pulse rifles blazing. Jake ducked behind a control panel, his fingers still flying across the holographic interface. "Almost there!" he shouted over the cacophony of weapon fire. Zara's tentacles whipped out, snatching a fallen enemy's rifle. She returned fire, her shots precise and devastating in the confined space. Bodies crumpled as she held the line, buying Jake precious seconds. A sudden lurch rocked the ship. Jake's eyes widened as new alerts flashed across his screen. "They're initiating an emergency purge. We've got to..." His words were cut off as klaxons blared. Massive vents opened in the chamber walls, the rush of escaping atmosphere deafening. Loose objects hurtled toward the openings as the air rapidly thinned. Jake's lungs burned as he gasped for breath. He saw Zara clinging to a support strut, her face contorted in a silent scream. With the last of his strength, he launched himself toward her, shoving her bodily into a nearby emergency airlock. As the airlock door slid shut, sealing Zara inside, Jake's vision dimmed. His fingers, numb and clumsy, found the core's failsafe override. With a final burst of effort, he input the critical sequence. The Singularity Core pulsed, energy cascading through its systems in an uncontrolled surge. As darkness claimed him, Jake's last thought was of the vast, star-studded void he'd come to call home. Zara's scream of anguish was swallowed by the vacuum as she was ejected from the airlock. Her board, responding to her neural link, swooped beneath her feet. Grief warred with training as she oriented herself, taking in the chaos of the space battle raging around Zorian's flagship. A familiar voice crackled through her comm link. "Zara, status report." It was Bennett, his tone strained but steady. She swallowed hard, forcing the words past the lump in her throat. Jake's gone, but we did it. The core's compromised." There was a moment of stunned silence before Bennett's reply came. "Understood. Rendezvous with Alpha Squad at these coordinates. We're hitting their Singularity projectors." Zara's board ignited with fierce energy as she rocketed toward the designated point. A group of elite Void Riders coalesced around her, their faces grim behind their visors. "New objective," Bennett's voice rang out. "We're going to use their own tech against them. On my mark, channel your board's energy into the holoprojector." As one, the Void Riders surged forward. Energy lanced from their boards, coalescing into a massive holographic construct. The simulated black hole loomed impossibly large against the backdrop of stars, its gravitational pull already warping the fabric of space around the dreadnought. Alarms blared across the enemy ship as its artificial event horizons began to destabilize. Zorian's once impregnable defenses crumbled under the onslaught of simulated gravity. "All units, fall back," Bennett ordered. "Evacuate immediately." As Void Riders and Rebel ships alike streamed away from the doomed flagship, Zara spotted a familiar silhouette through the chaos. Kira, leading a cadre of insurgents, was making a desperate push toward the Grand Prix venue. Without hesitation, Zara altered course. Her board hummed with deadly purpose as she rocketed toward her nemesis. The two women locked eyes across the void, years of enmity crystallizing into this final confrontation. Their boards clashed in a fury of energy and skill, a dazzling duel set against the backdrop of Zorian's imploding dreadnought. Kira fought with the desperation of a true believer, but Zara's grief had forged her into something harder, more focused. With a series of maneuvers that pushed the limits of void-riding tech, Zara outflanked her opponent. Her grappling line shot out, ensnaring Kira's board and sending the rebel leader tumbling into space. As Zorian's forces scattered in disarray, Bennett's voice crackled through the comms once more. "All units, return to base. It's over." Zara cast one last look at the disintegrating flagship before turning her board toward home. The battle was won, but the cost had been immeasurable. As stars streaked past, she clutched Jake's data crystal close to her chest, its contents a final gift to the future of void riding.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.